What's up, guys? George Balecki here with Foxborough Rush. But hey, check out the latest episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat. Casey Hudson and I run through what the biggest question marks are for the Red Sox that remain before the regular season begins and take a quick peek at their series. The two exhibition games really out in Mexico and what that means for Christian Campbell at second base. Plus, we have our second F1 race review. The China Grand Prix was boring on the racetrack, but very eventful after the race. We talk about the DQs for Ferrari, what McLaren should do moving forward, and is Liam Lawson going to get swapped out for Yuki Tsunoda? All that and more on Boston Has Entered the Chat. Now, let's get to Foxborough Rush. What's up? What's happening? George Balecki here with Sean McGuire on Foxborough Rush. Sean, how are we doing, man?
I'm good, George. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
I like to see the collar out of you.
Oh, every once in a while, I dress to impress. I think we balance each other's out. I actually come on with a collar. You have a backwards hat. So, what's the front of the hat? Why is it backwards?
Well, I'm not ashamed to admit it. We're champions. We're still defending champions, I would say. The Yukon Huskies are still defending champs. So, All
right. Get a little elimination happening for them. Dan Hurley obviously being a psycho after, but you know what? He's from Jersey. It's how he's wired. We got a fun show for you guys. Else. Yeah, literally, I would not want anyone else leading my program either if I was you. I don't blame you. We got a fun show for you guys. We're going to take a quick look back. Stefon Diggs with his visit. New reports coming out about Cam Robinson and how close he was signing with the Patriots, if at all, really. And now we have our first mock draft post free agency. More clarity on the roster. Still a lot of voids on offense. This will be a fun one. This is the first one of me and Sean, too. So I fired Keegan. He was an awful director of pro personnel. I brought in a new guy. I'm doing it with like a ruling with an iron fist, pretty much, me running these drafts. That's how it goes. Yep. All right, Sean, let's get into it. So the big news, obviously, was what came out over the end of the week and into the weekend. And that was Stefon Diggs visiting with the Patriots. It was a more of get to know each other type of visit, left without a deal. I was intrigued by this. They don't go after DK Metcalf because they don't want to give up draft assets, is what I really put it at, and pay him a ton. But then there's the reports of they want to be mindful of who they give a lot of money to. And for Mike Vrabel from day one saying it's all about how you respect the team and treat the team, them bringing in Stefon Diggs makes sense. I think this would be a prove-it deal. He's an older slot receiver coming off a torn ACL, so they're not going to give him a lot of money. I think the Patriots are being very mindful of who they give the big contracts to, who sets a culture, who would be the leader in certain position rooms. This was still interesting, though, because I think Stefon Diggs, when he gets to the beginning of his tenure with the Vikings, when he gets to the beginning of his tenure with the Bills, very good teammate, very dynamic wide receiver, really good route runner. And if everything is trending well for him to be ready for the start of the season coming off a torn knee, it could work out. The reason the Patriots like bringing in a Stefon Diggs, I think it's because it's a bargain. If they had to pay him a ton, I don't think they'd bring him in. I just hate this because they should have done this with DK Metcalf. You should have given up a second. You should have given him the money because he is still well before hitting that 30-year-old mark where wide receivers have the decline. It'd be a long-term solution. You bring in Stefon Diggs. I think that would mean the movement of maybe a Kendrick Bourne, one of these many slot receivers they have. It's interesting. I like the ad. Still wish if you're going to put up with any potential headache, it would have been a DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I think, and it's obvious. The first thing that it comes down to is the physical side of things and how he's recovering, all that sort of stuff. I believe it was Mike Reese today. Mike Reese reported that he seems ahead of schedule from a lot of a lot of the rumors and speculation that's kind of out there. So I think that's a good thing. But to your point, yeah, I kind of agree. It does feel like they're in the bargain bin a bit. This is going to be, like you said, a prove-it deal, probably a one-year deal, maybe, $12 million, $15 million or something like that, which, for you and me, that's fantastic. But for a lot of these guys, that's not all that great. But yeah, I think it kind of comes down to the bargain shopping. But with that said, I do go back to the fact it can't come down to money. You cannot lose this because of money. If you go into this and you have fine conversations, but you don't like where the medicals are, I understand that completely. You cannot lose out on the money. You cannot lose out on Stefon Diggs because of money. And it just comes down to, very simply, when healthy, he is by far the best thing that would be in that room. And I just think it's pretty simple. There's no one that compares to it. And sure, maybe he's not there. Maybe he's not 100% by training camp. Maybe he's not 100% by week 6 or week 8. But, you get him on a prove-it deal. You get kind of held Drake May for the back half of the season. And then, or maybe it's a 2-year deal. And then you have him for a full healthy season after that. So I do think, this is, if they feel comfortable with the medicals, it should without a doubt get done.
Yeah, I'm interested. The number you throw out, if it's like a $12 million a year deal, that would frustrate me too, to the point of why not offer a Darius Slayton, who's younger, an outside receiver that you need 13 and a half. He returned to the Giants for $12 million a year. And that's where it's, what's the preference? What are you looking for? And again, it just goes into, there's a short and long-term dividends. And I just look at this roster. Jalen Polk's a slot. Kendrick Bourne is a slot. Guys that I love, like a Jalen Noel, Xavier Restrepo, Jack Besh, who you can draft, are slots. And is he the right leader in the room? I think he could be good for a year or two, but it's also like, what would the buy-in be? For him to leave without a deal also shows like Stefon Diggs isn't desperate to be with the Patriots, because he could also play this entire offseason slow, recover, rehab, recoup. A wide receiver goes down for a contending team, he's the guy that steps in and takes over that void too. I don't think it's all a done deal for the Pats.
No, I agree. And that deal, if you're talking about a contender, that might not come until, September, October. That doesn't need to even come, in July or August at this point. So no, I agree. It feels like he would make more sense for a contender than he would the Patriots. Kind of both sides, him, he's, what did you say, 31, 32 years old. Yep. That would make more sense. So the fact that he left without a deal, I think you're right, that it's certainly not a done deal. And it essentially might be done that he's not coming to New England after leaving.
Yeah. Also, Patriots, they signed Garrett Bradbury to be their new starting center. 2 years, $3.8 million guaranteed at signing. This was interesting because the moment he was released by the Vikings, as we were recording a Rush episode actually, announced it and was like, okay, David Andrews is cut. Garrett Bradbury is also being cut. That sounds like it would make sense for a signing. He's older. He's cheap. One of the worst pass blocking centers throughout his entire career. But this is a guy that's played 1,000 or more snaps since he stepped into the NFL. And again, that's what I think the release of a David Andrews was, and what the signing of a Garrett Bradbury is: stopgap center, a guy that can get the job done. They were in on Drew Dahlman, who eventually signed with the Bears. And what the Bears did to invest in their offensive line, traded for Joe Thuney, signed Drew Dahlman, signed Kevin Zeitler, completely reset their interior offensive line. The Patriots are doing that in a less sexy, slower, more methodical way. And again, there are centers that I've highlighted of a Seth McLaughlin, a Jake Majors, who I love out of Texas. Those are the guys that they should target and draft. Garrett Bradbury, it's a really cheap deal. It's one of those Patriot deals up to $12 million, but that $3.8 million guaranteed at signing is probably $5 million guaranteed overall altogether over 2 years. Low risk, okay reward. And if that's just someone where you just need a starting center and a guy coming from a Kevin Stefanski system, very complex, can he retain a Josh McDaniels system? I think that's what's important. And it says more to me of there must have been a major medical red flag that they saw or they didn't buy into. David Andrews can make it a full season, because Bradbury's not good, but he will be their starting center every game. It's kind of what they're doing with the Morgan Moses at right tackle. Morgan Moses is good. He's just older. But right now they're just going with, we need consistency with the 5 guys up front.
Yeah, and I agree. And I mentioned this to Travis the other day too, that it's almost like they deserve a round of applause at this point, because they actually did bring in a veteran in free agency that, not top of the line sort of guy, but it does lessen the need a little bit going into the draft. So now you don't have to, jump on someone like, Jared Wilson out of Georgia or one of those guys. You don't have to jump on them or overdraft them because you do have this kind of dependable center who's going to be there day in and day out.
Yeah. Not the sexiest side. This offensive line, it's still this. Left guard is Eladen Robinson. I don't know. Yeah. And that's a big mystery. And even think of the Morgan Moses, where I think they should double dip in the tackle, where they should get a starting left tackle in the draft. And we'll do our mock in just about 10 minutes. We'll get started there. I'm really excited for this one. And they should still target a type of right tackle as well later on. And if that's simply competition for a Caden Wallace, if that's simply someone that they believe in more than Caden Wallace to back up a Morgan Moses, or if Doug Marrone gets in, looks at Caden Wallace and goes, look, he was just injured last year. I actually really like this kid. Then maybe that would go with, they go with the starting left tackle, they go with the center, and maybe they get another versatile interior offensive lineman. They need to do so much in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Garrett Bradbury signing, it's like the Matt Collins signing, where it's like, but it was This offensive line, center, right guard, right tackle, it's better than it was last year. And I'm saying that in a way because David Andrews wasn't available last year. So, yes, it's better than Ben Brown. It's better than Cole Strange, who's just unreliable, and that's how he's looked at in the building. Jake Andrews has never been healthy since he's been drafted as well. So they at least have a healthy center, Mike Onwenu, who's always been available, and they have a healthy right tackle, which they never had at any point last season. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to check out Boston has entered the chat. All things sports, all things Boston, and national and worldwide as well. New episodes dropping every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Wherever you get your podcast, you could also watch on YouTube as well. Go to Nesson's YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. That's Boston has entered the chat. Giants signing Jameis Winston. What did you make of this? 2-year deal, a lot of money. What did you make of this signing? Do you think it rules out them going quarterback top 3, or do you think they still end up going quarterback top 3?
I don't think it rules it out. I think you could make the case that it lessens their need, though, to go top 3, and that's really all that it comes down to, I think, from a Patriots perspective. I mean, they're still going to draft someone, but the Patriots need it to be in the top 3, and I still do think, if you were to ask me what they're going to do, I still do think that they will draft someone in the top 3. I just think it makes too much sense at this point. It's just, I don't think Brian Daboll is hitching his wagon to Jameis Winston at this point. I think he kind of, just with how those jobs are, going into, they're flat out, they're on the hot seat going into the season. So I just think Daboll kind of needs to, draft a quarterback that high, and he can kind of hitch his wagon to him and, hope for the best going forward, sort of thing. So I do think that they're still going to draft someone.
Yeah, I just wonder. They may not love Shedeur Sanders. They may not love Jackson Dart. And the worry here is if Travis Hunter falls to them at 3, it makes way too much sense for them to draft him, especially now. You have Jameis Winston, good starting level quarterback, good stopgap quarterback. You go Travis Hunter when you already have Malik Neighbors. You have a good defensive line. Your offensive line, when Andrew Thomas is healthy, is good, and they can draft offensive line, obviously, in this draft too. You have a number 1 wide receiver. He would be your starting cornerback, where he's elite at the position. And then when you get into the red zone, and you have Jameis Winston looking at Malik Neighbors to his right and Travis Hunter to his left, that is the perfect situation for him. That is the perfect situation. Full-on starting corner, plays on the money downs, and he doesn't have to be the number 1 receiver. That's what worries me, and that's why I think this signing pushes the Giants out of taking a quarterback, and they could be looking down the road. Arch Manning, maybe a Drew Aller, maybe other guys that could be in the next draft, or possibly someone they can swing for and trade for before he has to get paid by a team as well, where I think they go different avenues. Because it's not, and I understand the hitch a wagon, Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, their jobs are on the line this season, so you think drafting quarterback would bring that? I think more importantly is the instant upgrade they can get in wins and this simple performance on the field where Jameis Winston gets them to being an 8-9 win team, especially if they have a Travis Hunter on defense and as a wide receiver too, compared to a Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, who may not even be ready to play week 1. I think John Mayer is tired of losing and they want to start winning again instead of having a franchise quarterback.
So you think Jameis, flat out, you think that Jameis is going to be the starter?
Yeah, they paid him a lot of money. Yeah. And I think that shows also they signed Jameis. They know Cam Ward won't make it to 3. That ruled out them trading up from 3 to 1 to get a Cam Ward because Cam Ward's ready, and that's where I think it changes everything. And again, I say that at the end about John Mara, where that's the guy. He's the reason they paid Daniel Jones all that money. So this is Daboll trying to keep his job. This is Joe Shane trying to keep his job, and they need to upgrade this offense instantly. They can't do another sit and wait, develop a quarterback. Shedeur and Dart, to me, would have been that. And I think both would be great fits in Daboll's system, but it's just the price they're paying and where they're drafting. And now they're in a position where they can draft a Travis Hunter. Even with their D-line being filthy too, though, I would not rule out them. If it goes Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, they go Abdul Carter at 3. They would be fine trading Kayvon Thibodeau and moving on from him. That's where everything's in their wheelhouse of they are in a spot now where they take either of those blue chip prospects at number 3.
Man, if that proves to be right, that's going to be bad for the Patriots, right? Because then it is kind of that worst case scenario. Obviously, the best case scenario is for either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter to fall, and then if both those guys are off the board at 4. then you're getting into those, maybe Will Campbell, maybe offensive tackle, maybe trade back, all those sorts of things. So that would certainly change some things, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll talk trading back in just a few minutes. Last one, per Mike Reese, his article he put out at ESPN on Sunday. Left tackle Cam Robinson signed a 1-year deal with the Texans. This is what he ends it with. The Patriots were in the mix to some degree, according to a team source, but the sense was that Robinson preferred Houston. What do you make of that, Sean?
Yeah, I believe it was Phil Perry that had something similar on Friday or something. So a few reports from very tied-in Patriots reporters that both had that. I don't think it should be a huge surprise that Cam Robinson would try to go to Houston over New England. Houston has had some playoff success. They have a quarterback who's established in CJ Stroud. Yeah. So not that the Patriots aren't hopefully getting there, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if that was the case, if he preferred the situation in Houston. Again, Houston just made a drastic move by trading Laramie Tunsil. So now Cam Robinson kind of gets in there, fills that void on the left side. So I could see that.
What gets me is the 1-year deal with the Texans reportedly has a maximum value of $14.5 million. So we went with an incentive-based prove-it deal where he's making less than Dan Moore. How do the Patriots not? Again, it's the same thing. $17 million, prove it, and you meet with Cam Robinson to go get in it. These are the question marks. This is what we're wondering. It's all incentive based, and even in that, bring them in and go. And if you perform on this, then we'll give you the extension. We want to know who you are once you get in the door. How do you not get an actual left tackle? And it would have been under $20 million you had to pay on possibly a prove it deal. So that again, the same thing where I hear the reports on certain contracts around the league, and when I see a guy like Darius Slayton, what he gets, and Cam Robinson, it could be just the stink the Patriots have to shake of. Guys are looking at the destination going, I don't want to be there. Where Cam Robinson's like, I'd rather prove myself for a playoff contender. I get both sides. The Patriots have to up that value. You have to get an actual left tackle. Because if they don't address a left tackle and actually hit on that draft pick, Sean, this is just malpractice for your quarterback for the future.
I mean, and like you said, it's a short-term deal. Like the money, all things relative, it's not that bad. It's a deal that they, without a doubt, should have tried to make. And a lot of those reports, I know Phil Perry specifically said, there were some questions about the character aspect of things, but the Patriots were still interested enough to offer the deal. And essentially it came down to, as we mentioned, Cam Robinson kind of just shaking them off and wanting to go to Houston. But yeah, I agree. The deal wasn't as enticing as it should have been, or it didn't offer as much money or whatever. They lost out on it, and I completely agree. They should have addressed the position, and now they go into the draft and they kind of back themselves in the corner, needing a left tackle and probably needing to spend their first round pick on it. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll get to that draft in just a moment. But hey, also if you want to watch the Red Sox all season long, make sure you can stream it on the NESN 360 app with the new NESN 360 annual plan. Available at a new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. Again, to watch the Red Sox, including their 2-game exhibition coming up in Monterrey, Mexico, before their season starts on Thursday against the Texas Rangers. All right, Sean, let's get to the mock draft. I'm excited about this one. Shout out to the person that recommended NFLDraftBuzz.com simulator on YouTube, because it is seamless. It is so much better. Love it. And it's the accuracy. Every mock I've done, Sean, Travis Hunter's been gone by 4 or more. Of the last mock we did, Ted McMillan went 3, and that's how we got Travis Hunter. I was like, I don't like it, but we'll take him. And everyone commented, rightfully so. What the heck is that? If that happens in this one, Sean, I am hitting reset. I do not care. All right?
All right.
Let's enter the room. Start draft. Shador 1, Cam Ward 2, Travis Hunter 3. Easy. And there's a trade offer from your boys, the Cowboys. 12th overall pick, next year's first, next year's second, and Stefon Diggs. Don't love that. The Colts, the 14th pick, and Berhard Rainman. No. The Vikings, 24th pick, their third round pick. Next year's first, second, and third, because they're moving up from 24.
Yeah.
Okay. Houston Texans at 25th, and Nico Collins.
Ooh.
They just extended Nico. I don't like that one because you're getting so many less draft assets. This one, the first, second, third next year doesn't
the Houston
sound
Texans
real.
Are not trading Nico Collins either.
They just extended him. This Vikings one I like because also with all those draft assets, we can trade back up into the first to get the tackle we want.
Yeah.
No Travis Hunter. Again, Travis Hunter is taken. I want to go with this Vikings draft package. And there's going to be some maneuvering, though. You in for it, Sean?
That's tough. So Abdul Carter's there, right?
Abdul Carter. It went Shador Sanders.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, Travis Hunter.
Quarterbacks and Travis Hunter. Oh man, I have a tough time bypassing. I think you did pick the right. Like if we were to go with a trade offer, I think the Vikings one is the correct one.
But do they go Abdul Carter?
I'm passing Abdul Carter there.
Let's draft Abdul Carter. I think you're right, and I also don't think that's the most realistic. Vikings at 4. Let's draft Abdul Carter. This is why you're my guy. This is why you're my guy.
Locked
All right.
in.
So we drafted Abdul Carter. Still have the 38th pick, 69th, and 77th. Now, there is a possibility of pausing the draft to trade.
Yeah. I was going to say, could you like hover over that offensive tackle over there too? Like, could you to see which offensive tackles come off?
Arante Ursary still there. Marcus Embu out of Purdue. Donovan Jackson, a right tackle. Cameron Williams. All right, we're back at 38. Trent Brown.
No, thank you.
The Bears first and the 5th for the 38th, or do you get a real left tackle in next year's first from the Bengals?
I'm absolutely not bringing Trent Brown back.
I don't think he wants to be back. He's been injured.
No
Reject.
way.
All right, so I like this, dude. We're not trading for once. Nikim and Wari just went the pick before 38th. Malachi Starks is there, really good safety. Colston Loveland is there. Makes sense as a weapon. Here's my thing of just going with Abdul Carter, the first pick. Tyler Booker, Arante Ursary's there. If he's here at 38th, you got to take him. He's a left tackle. Yep. All right, we're going trenches. Look at this quick draft, man. We might have we might do 2 mocks in one, honestly, how fast we're moving.
Tyler Warren was still there too at 38?
Yeah. That's where, see, and like, I don't think he'd be there at 38 though. So that's why I didn't want to go with Tyler Warren there at all. Cause that's just like, that's not the reality if you take him at 38. He's going to be a top 25 pick. Same thing with Colston Loveland. I was surprised that he's there. All right. Coming up, Jalen Royal's gone. Coming up, Xavier Watts, Xavier Restrepo just went. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Jack Besh, all there. Elika Yomenor.
Okay.
I go Jalen Noel here. 5'10".
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jaden Higgins.
No, but he's just more explosive. He's quicker. He's better at separation. Really confident hands. Really good route runner. Sick athlete. And I just think he's that consistent, good, strong weapon over the middle. He's not as big as I want. He's not an outside receiver like I want, but Jaden Higgins necessarily isn't that there either. They both tested well. Jalen Noel's explosive numbers at the combine impressed me so much. He could possibly be there at 69. I think Jaden Higgins would be gone by this. I want to go Jalen Noel here. This is a home run draft where you get a starting edge rusher to play on the opposite of Harold Landry and to play with Milton Williams and Christian Barmore / Keon White. You get your left tackle in Arante Ursary, who I don't love him, but if you get him with a Doug Marrone who can develop him, this one, when you get a Jalen Noel to work with a Josh McDaniels, to work with a Thomas Brown, to work with a Todd Downing, Jalen Noel is like a Darnell Mooney, but stronger to me. And I think can be a really good slot receiver. I want to go Jalen Noel here.
All right, I was gonna say Jaden Higgins, but you certainly convinced me, and I think you went with at least one of my. I talked you into going Abdul Carter the first one, so let's go with Noel here.
Little compromise action, because if you look at Elika Yomenor, good downfield receiver, raw. I think Jalen Noel is more of a day one contributor. And again, I said it before, there's a log jam at the slot receiver position. Jalen Noel, if they go with Jalen Noel on this one, I just think that means that someone else that's in that room at that slot position would be gone. And it could be like a trade deadline dealt piece too. Like they could be sellers at the deadline, again, to get more draft assets and continue the rebuild for the guys that don't make sense. So I'm going with Jalen Noel. I'm going with him over Jack Besh. I just think he's quicker. I like his game. I think it translates a lot more.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go Jalen Noel here.
Let's do it.
All right. We went Jalen Noel. So far we're going edge, tackle, and wide receiver. The need still, okay, trade offer from the Raiders. They want the 72nd, so the second, third round pick.
Yep.
They are giving a 4th, a 5th, next year's 3rd, 6th, 7th. The Bengals are giving up, we don't have to move back 3 spots or 4 spots from 77 to 81. I don't like that. I'd rather, an extra 6th, extra top 200, next year's 4th, which is really a 5th. I just rejected them. So yeah, I think all of those are gone actually. Yep. And with this spot where still need help on the edge, interior defensive line, Alfred Collins. Were you thinking that too?
I was. Yep, I was wondering if he was going to be there.
Isaiah Bond, really fast receiver, offensive line. Ozzie Trapillo could make sense too. Doug Marrone connect, who is just at Boston College.
Yep.
Charles Grant is a good one too. Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm. And let's go defensive back because I do want to target guys. All right. What are you thinking here, Sean?
Go back to the offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman. Okay, I got you, my guy.
Yeah.
So Anthony Belton is a right tackle, if I remember correctly. Jared Wilson's a good center. Charles Grant is a versatile piece. Ozzie Trapillo is a good tackle. Yeah. Arante Ursary, we have a left tackle. If you get Trapillo, you have 2 young tackles that you trust.
Yeah.
What are you thinking though when you look offensive line? I want to read the room a little bit here.
I think I would go with Trapillo, and I think the connection, and I should say I think that they would strongly consider Trapillo in this spot. I just think the connection when it comes, the Doug Marrone aspect of things, and I think you really need to hit a home run when it comes to addressing the offensive line. I think that's by far the biggest need. If you spend 3 of your first 4 picks there, I think so be it. And at this point, we already had Abdul Carter. We didn't get a tackle at 4, so I would strongly consider Trapillo here.
Okay, so I hear you. We just got Jalen Noel.
Yep.
The tight ends left are good. Mason Taylor, really good athlete, can line up all over, really good pass catcher. Gunnar Helm, the fact that he went through that entire combine with a sprained ankle, that's like Mike Vrabel's guy, and I like him as a basketball player.
You're right. Yeah.
Defensive line, why did you go ooh with me? It was because of Alfred Collins?
Yeah, it was. And I think a lot of the times that I've done these mock drafts, I use PFF more than this site, but a lot of the times I've used PFF. It is kind of, I feel like I get to that 3rd, 4th round pick and see kind of who the defensive tackles are left. And I always have my eyes on Alfred Collins because I feel like in this spot, he makes a lot of sense. They could certainly use some help. Obviously, just signed Millen Williams, but could certainly still use some help up there. The questions surrounding Christian Barmore and everything. So I think that this is a pretty good spot. You got him to slip a little bit if you're getting him at 77. So I wouldn't be strongly against that either. I know we both did that ooh at the same time, so I know you feel the same way. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on it?
He is a really good run defender. Yeah. He was a starting D tackle on a top 3 defense in the country in the SEC and dominated SEC defensive linemen. The best point you make is that Christian Barmore. If Christian Barmore is good, and they should know more by April, and I hope he's good, for his personal health, not just his football health, they wouldn't go Alfred Collins. But more importantly, even if he is good, he's not exactly the scheme guy that they want. Now, if they see that they can develop him, Terrell Williams, who has been regarded as best defensive line coach in the NFL by guys that he has coached, I know Mike Vrabel loves him, he would definitely look at Alfred Collins, 6'6", 330, a house, and be like, our run defense stunk, so he could do that. I could turn him into a good pass rusher, right? So I understand the upside. I look at a Darius Alexander, and I think his stock can go up a lot by the time we get to the draft. He is a Christian Barmore 2.0 to me, where he's more of a pass rusher, blows up the interior of the pocket. Here's where I come to, though. So we have the edge set, and we can go later on the edge. When I went to secondary, and I see Maxwell Hairston, but to me it's more of another guy from Texas, Andrew Makuba. Mm-hmm. That is a free safety. That is a sick athlete. And if you get an Andrew Makuba in there, they signed Marcus Epps. He's a free safety, but he's older, and he's coming off an injury.
Yeah.
If you get an Andrew Makuba to play on the back end with a Christian Gonzalez and along with a Carlton Davis, and you let Kyle Duggar play in the box. You let Jabril Peppers play in the box. You have Makuba playing next to a Marcus Epps as well. You just let everyone play where they need to be, because then you have Robert Spillane, your starting linebacker. Kyle Duggar can go play in the box and be an in-the-box safety in a 4-2-5 defense, or Jabril Peppers. And even a guy like a Jack Gibbons, like if he needs to play some snaps, say if a Spillane goes down, you're just in a better spot because Kyle Duggar's not playing in the back. He's playing up in the box along with the Peppers. This is, again, I have vindication here going Andrew Makuba. I really do. I love Alfred Collins. I understand what you're saying with Ozzie Trapillo too. Just because you know a guy, that's why you draft him.
Yeah.
Andrew Makuba is going to be a starting safety in the NFL for a long time. And he fits this system and a huge need. They don't have a free safety, Sean. They really don't.
Yeah. I mean, if you're that...
No, what do you think? No, push back.
I'm still thinking trenches. And now the more I think about the Alfred Collins thing, I think that, that's, you really got him to slide quite a bit. We're talking at the 77th pick right now. I mean, he's a top 50 prospect, and a lot of these, I know Dane Brugler had him in the top 50. I'm pretty sure Jeremiah did too.
Yeah.
So getting him here at 77, that's, maybe not the biggest need, but in terms of value, he might be the best value out of the three that we just talked about.
Man.
You also did just talk about Darius Alexander. And
that's what I'm looking of. Who else is there? I see a Kobe Bryant from Kansas, good corner, but that's a guy that could eventually be that free safety. And because you have a Marcus Epps, you can develop a Kobe Bryant. But as I look at, for the role that an Alfred Collins plays, Deion Walker, I just don't love his tape this past season. I think he should have been so much better. But when you get into a guy, certain guys deeper in, like a JJ Pegues, I hope I'm saying it right for Ole Miss, that's a one where you can develop. He's not that sure thing like an Alfred Collins, but I think a system fit, that's Collins is really good. But it also gets to the point too of, so here's the thing. Here's why I wouldn't do it, Sean. Look at the roster right now. Milton Williams, Keon White can play in the B gap, is super strong. Not as big as an Alfred Collins, but could play there. And we assume Christian Barmore could go back. There is a depth at defensive tackle we could get later in the draft. Andrew Makuba, to me, that's a safety that at this point in the draft, that's the value talk right there. I'm leaning heavy Makuba.
All right, let's go with it. You talked me into it.
All right. Appreciate you giving me the last two picks, especially. If you're enjoying the show, check out new episodes of Foxborough Rush dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you watch them as well. All things Patriots, Drake May, Mike Vrabel, pre-draft coverage. That's Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcasts. Whew, man, that was a fun one. We had to sweat it and think it. I mean, there's good options. And even on the edge, I like the guys that were there too. So
now, where are we right now in the draft? We're at 87, 89. I mean, Alfred Collins is still, okay, he just went at 90.
And that makes sense. He was going to go. Devin Neal's still there. That's a running back I really like. Trapillo could still fall.
I was going to say, what do we got on the offensive line?
Oh, there goes Devin Neal. Who did it? Oh, sorry, I'm scrolling up. Sorry for the guys watching. Oh, that's why. He was taken into the third. Let me look. Devin Neal to the Vikings. Oh my God, what a fit. He's going to be so good. He's going to be so good in that offense.
In Minnesota, yeah.
He's electric. Yeah. That's like a football nerd in me. Okay. Yeah. You wanted offensive line. Let's look quick. Defensive lineman. Jordan Birch as an edge doesn't fit this scheme. More of a run defender. I just don't love him. Savion Jones could be good. More of a pass rusher out of LSU. Come on, Rucker. Don't love him. So I'm looking at the edge guys. So there went the run on interior.
Yeah.
Ty Robinson, maybe you get him later out of Nebraska. He could be a draft and develop. Offensive line, Trapillo is there. Offensive line, Jake Majors is there.
I was going to say, is Jared Wilson still there? It doesn't look like he is.
Jared Wilson's gone. Seth McLaughlin is still there. Jonah Monheim is still there. Willie Lampkin. Connor Colby, good interior offensive lineman, high IQ, really smart at diagnosing blitzes. You think they go? You think they would go Trapillo? I got the last 2 picks. You think would you go Trapillo here?
I think I would. Yep.
Okay.
We're talking at 106. I mean, he's definitely a top 100 guy.
Yeah.
He's a top 100 guy. You get him there. He fills a need. I would say, yeah.
Again, that's a familiarity too. Local tie. We've had Ozzy Trapillo on. Boston has entered the chat. By the way, super smart, super sharp. Plays guitar, by the way. Like
That's
you got big hands like an offensive lineman. You got really big fingers. You could play guitar. Good for him. 33-inch arms. Tackle number.
Yeah.
81 and 2/8 inch wingspan. On top of being 6'8", 315. Good broad jump, good vertical, explosive. He's good and strong. Like, he doesn't get bullied and pushed around. That's what I wonder. I think he can be a starting level offensive tackle. You want Trapillo? I think you go Trapillo here because this is a guy that, worst case scenario, is competition for Caden Wallace. Best case scenario, takes over once Morgan Moses is gone.
Yep, I agree.
You say Trapillo.
I do. Yep, I'm glad I didn't twist your arm at whatever we were at, 70 whatever.
You got to look wide receiver a little bit. Give me a moment. Okay, Pat Bryant's still there. Looking at tight end, Brenning Stool is still there. Luke Lachey, Brandon Cuthie. Okay.
A deep tight end draft.
It is a good tight end draft. Cornerback Kobe Bryant's still there, but I see him more as a free safety. No, I'm joking. Cam Scatterbo, Lakeem Allen.
Still there. Yep.
Fumbling issues, man. He fumbled a lot. Let's go Trapillo. Let's go Trapillo. By the way, people watching, if you disagree with this pick, or if you disagree with the last 2 picks, I'm not trying to only put Sean on blast. We're going Trapillo here. Boom.
I like it.
He's good, man. Awesome dude, too, when we interviewed him. Could see him crushing in interview rooms with teams. Yeah. And I bet Doug Marrone loves him. Bill O'Brien loved him when he was on the show, too. So I see that in Ozzy Trapillo a ton. All right. So far in this draft, let me talk to our director, Jay, quick. Jay, can you take on the full screen so we see who we've picked so far? Because we're at that perfect spot. Jay, you're the man. Appreciate that. Abdul Carter, number 4 overall. Arante Ursary falling to 38 overall. Yep. Jalen Noel in the 3rd. Andrew Makuba in the 3rd at 77. Oh, Cowboys want to trade for number 144 next year's 4th. No, I'd rather draft now. I don't want a 5th rounder. Yeah.
Those are bad offers.
Those are bad. Yeah. So I'm happy that's happening. So the full screen's still up there. This is starting edge rusher, starting left tackle, wide receiver 3 at worst in this offense in Jalen Noel, starting free safety in Andrew Makuba, development tackle who could be a starter in Ozzy Trapillo. This is a good draft because those are guys that these aren't crazy projects. There are other guys that we could have went in certain spots where that would be a project. He is not. So I like this. All right. Edge, Baron Sorrell from Texas, but we got our guy in Abdul Carter. Defensive line, okay, a guy that I named, and again, help in the trenches, JJ Pegues. You know, I got to start doing more. I got to do better with the pronunciations. I'm not doing these guys any justice. I just got to look up like YouTube pronunciations of them and everything. But 6'2", 320, really dense. Oh, great. Mm-hmm. Swear to God, I'm not trying to look up enunciation. That's just my iPad and my notes going up. Really hard worker, high motor. Run game needs development. Will be 24 when he's a rookie. So he's an older rookie, but he still has a lot to develop. I just don't love that if you're developmental at 24 in a way. Like, that might be you. Yeah. Off-ball linebacker, low-key need. Don't like the picks there. Defensive back. Tight end.
Interior lineman, too. Ooh, Mitchell Evans still there, too.
Hold on. And then Jake Majors. Not to go crazy with the Texas talk, Steve Sarkisian offense, really complex, started multiple years at Texas. This is a guy, as we were talking about Garrett Bradbury, obviously Jake Majors is front of mind for me. This is, again, you can draft him. He could be a really good center. I kind of, in a way with him, I somewhat see a Tyler Biadasz. Biadasz more run block prone coming out of college, like better run blocking. Jake Majors more all around. But I just think of like a later round pick that can end up being a starting center, as Tyler Biadasz is now with the Commanders is a key piece for their success. He was good with the Cowboys. I know you liked him when he was there. That's what I see in a Jake Majors. Running back, let's look one more time. Lakeem Allen is in need, but I think they could go later. What are you thinking here, Sean?
Is
I'm trying
Dylan
my best.
Fairchild left?
Dylan Fairchild.
He's not, right?
No, he's definitely gone.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If we don't go Jake Majors, Connor Colby, do you pass?
Is Willie there? Is the fire hydrant still there?
Willie Lampkin? Should be. No, I think he was scooped up. He's gone.
Wow.
Drew Kendall, another BC guy there. Drew Kendall, also a friend of the program. All right. I like that we're having this difficulty in the 5th round just because someone is good. So didn't go cornerback. They do need a corner. And Denzel Burke, struggle year with Ohio State, was okay. Mello Dotson was good with Kansas. Don't need Malachi Moore. You're taking a risk there. Jaden Reed. I want to go with Jake Majors here, but let's look tight end quick.
I was going to say tight end too.
Jake Brenningstool is good for Clemson. Good pass catcher. Luke Lachey, solid with Iowa. I just don't see the upside in the ceiling with him. Tight end is a spot of need for this offense too. Do you want to go Jake Brenningstool? What were you going to say?
What do you think about Mitchell Evans?
Who's that?
The Notre Dame, Mitchell Evans.
Don't have much on him. To me, the function of that offense, though, like the system he was in, given he was handcuffed by like poor quarterback play, when you have Mitchell Evans compared to Brenningstool, I'm pulling up my notes now, 6'6", 240, 4.75 40. So not the biggest burner that there is.
Yep.
Good route runner, good middle of the field, and intermediate depth as well. Good body control. He knows how to use his frame. This is the basketball player. Mitchell Evans, don't want to lie, don't know too much about him. Again, coming out of that system, though, like Jake Brenningstool also was like handcuffed by terrible quarterback play, or subpar quarterback play. I think that's a guy that's a weapon. Like, we got Jalen Noel already, and the Patriots with their pass catchers didn't do well. I think Jake Brenningstool here.
Okay. I would go tight end. I'm good with tight end too. I thought that Mitchell Evans was a little bit like higher ranked, by some of the analysts and experts and that sort of thing. Yeah. But I'm good with the tight end.
I think I'm going higher ceiling here, and I just think with Mitchell Evans is that good hands. I just don't think he's more of like you have the Mitchell Evans with a Hunter Henry. And an Austin Hooper-esque to a point. I think Jake Brenningstool is just better as a pass catcher. So you just evolve the tight end room. So let's go Brenningstool here. 144. We don't pick. So no 6th round pick. So we're going to have a long layoff. So I almost took Evans by accident. Jake Brenningstool. So edge, left tackle, wide receiver, free safety, backup tackle, development tight end that can be a starter or a pass catcher in this offense. That's what we have so far. Luke Lachey just went. Malachi Moore, good landing spot with the Packers. Jeff Hafley. This is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets fun in the 7th. You're like, all right, who are the guys that just like you love? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who are the guys that just absolutely flashed in your eyes? Lakeem Allen still on the board. I can't imagine he falls this far. That surprises me. I think he's a good pass catching back. What are you thinking here? Did he just go? Lakeem Allen just got drafted. There we go. Okay.
I was going to say, just for the sake of conversation, we're in the 6th round. What about like if there is a quarterback still there? You could see how it went with Joe Milton last year. Elliott Wolf and the Packers and all that sort of talk. They went quarterback quite a bit. Could you see them doing something like that if there is someone left? I'm not exactly sure who's left at this point.
Yeah, but
I saw the Louisville kid. Oh, the Louisville kid is still there.
Why? I don't want a future 7th. That is the dumbest. Stop. All of you. Falcons, Panthers, and Commanders. F off. Yeah, Tyler Show is still there from Louisville. Here's the thing, though. If you just sign Josh Dobbs, like he's going to be the backup.
Yeah.
That's like a next year thing when you have a lot of needs. I wanted Dante Thornton. He just got scooped. Big receiver, insane speed. I want to see who scooped him up. RJ Harvey went to the Rams. Again, like in that offense, him as a pass catcher, going to eat. Absolutely eat. Rocket Sanders went to the Browns. Good landing spot. Lakeem Allen went to the Chargers. That makes sense. Dylan Gabriel. All right, so I'm not going to fish through. You know, people want us to make picks. So at this point, let's go all. I'm looking at wide receiver. Chimere Dike from Florida. Good route runner. Went with Graham Mertz from Wisconsin to UF. Was okay there. Ricky White. Good wide receiver out of UNLV. Another smaller receiver. Could be a slot. Upside as a special teams player. Cody Lindenberg out of Minnesota. Good off-ball linebacker. Jack Gibbons is young, though, that I don't think they would need a Lindenberg. I think that would be more if you go undrafted free agent, maybe, if they feel that way. Mm-hmm. Cam Horsley out of BC was good. Tonka Hemingway, big body. We could get him later. Running back, Trevor Etienne. All right. Taj Brooks, good big back. Donovan Edwards. I'm not going to sleep on. They need a lot in the RB room.
Yeah.
I like Ricky White. You call your shot here, Sean. What are you thinking?
I was going to say, I'm good with the Florida receiver, too.
Chimere Dike?
Yeah, Chimere. I definitely would have got that wrong if I said it first. So.
I covered him at UW. Good.
Okay.
Good route runner. Good hands. Doesn't have that elite separation, though, but, you know, playing in the SEC was decent for Florida. The thing with Ricky White, though, is that, so you want to go receiver. Ricky White does have the special teams upside. And the UNLV offense was a big role for them and really produced. You want to go, what do you think? Are you going by ranking here with Chimere? So you're kind of going like, hey, the guys at GMs.
I mean, I was actually just checking out ESPN's draft ranking or wide receiver rankings as well. And it has him way above the rest of who's there. So that's kind of part of the reason I said it. But
all right, let's
I'm
go
good with
Chimere. He's a fairly bigger receiver too, and you know what? Maybe that is you take the. Let me look up what his measurables were. That's maybe you take that at this spot, especially on the outside. You know.
Yeah. 6'1", 196.
Let's go with it. Big receiver. They need that. All right, it's the last two picks, 7th round. We're not going to drag it out this much. So back up, Trevor Etienne there. Still need a running back. Yeah, still need a defensive lineman, Tonka Hemingway. Trevor Etienne, Taj Brooks. I say Donovan Edwards has been my guy. 7th round pick. His upside as a pass catcher, he's like a Devin Neal where he's just electric. I want to go Donovan Edwards.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. They're the other guys that would be good fits. I think you get that type of running back that's more of a bell cow back later on. Ricky White's still there. Hey, could get another pass catcher. Trevor Etienne.
As many darts as you can throw.
Taj Brooks still there from Texas Tech. Cuthie just went. Let's go D-line. Thor Griffith there. Harvard transferred to Louisville. Wasn't fantastic. It's 7th round pick. Let's not sweat this too much. Do we go with the Ricky White to build out offensive line? Oh, Drew Kendall. I don't want to go by like the lazy name recognition. But we didn't go interior offensive line.
I was going to say we didn't do any interior.
They need help there. I'm going to go Hayden Connor. I'm just going to go SEC. I'm going to go Hayden Connor.
Yep, I'm good with it.
Interior offensive lineman. Boom. And that's it. That was our last pick in the draft. That was a good draft. We started off fast. In the middle, slowed it down, but very methodical, which I like.
I mean, I think those first 3 or 4 rounds were dynamite.
That's Abdul Carter, Arante Ursary, Jalen Noel. I won't save this. Don't worry about this, folks. I should have saved it because it was a great draft. But that's what's good. Starting edge rusher, that's an absolute blue chip guy. Starting left tackle, who's a massive human, big frame. Starting a wide receiver, again, could be a wide receiver 2 or 3 in this offense. I think eventually as you're on the field all the time, wide receiver 2. He's a more explosive Tyler Lockett. He's a Darnell Mooney, but stronger. And that's why he's a middle ground guy. Starting free safety, backup tackle, development tight end will be a starter. Then you're developing a receiver, running back, and interior offensive lineman. Yep. I like the draft, Sean. Good job, man.
Yeah, you as well, George. What do we get a trait or do we get a grade here?
No, they don't do that, which I don't mind.
Do you want to grade ourselves?
Yeah, I would honestly give this an A. I really would. I think when you think of need, when you think of like blue chip potential as well, and on the comments too, folks watching on YouTube, give us a grade. Am I biased? Sure. I'm giving myself an A.
I'll go A-.
A-, I like it. Had to say no to a very, very tantalizing draft. The Nico Collins one, which didn't make sense, but say it's floated. And then also that Vikings where it was a boatload of picks. Could have traded back in. I like what you did. You go, hey, Abdul Carter's still there. And we went with Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Sean?
I would say, and that Nico Collins one was definitely enticing.
It's right.
It'll never happen on draft night, but it was definitely enticing.
That's one where it'd be, you would look at it and he's under contract agreement too. I just can't imagine the Texans. That's a guy that is so important, especially with Tank Dell going to be out to start the season too. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They're not trading Nico Collins. Hayden Connor this season, according to PFF, 0 sacks allowed, 2 QB hits, 90 pass block grade. It's our left guard. Filled out the entire offensive line. He's Sean McGuire. I'm George Bilecki. This is Foxborough Rush. Excuse me, not Boston's End of the Chat, but check that out if you want more Boston sports content as well. Great mock, my friend. Thank you to everyone commenting. Leave us comments. What do you think of the mock? What do you have done differently? What picks did you like? What picks did you hate? Who's a guy you love that we may have passed up on that you saw? And also, what do you think of Sean's hat too? UConn back-to-back national champs, still defending champs. He's Sean McGuire. I'm George Bilecki. Thank you so much, guys, for making us a part of your day. Have a good one, everyone.